Sports Review Journal. Sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
It's just, some bugs going around, a little bit of that stuff. So
Something that the last couple of weeks, offensive linemen and Josh have talked about how teams are loading the box and playing more single high safety looks. What are some ways that offenses can kind of make defenses play for kind of, trying to crash down and then sit on what's in front of them?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into this conversation. I mean, certainly there's the counter punch, where if you go ahead and throw the ball productively when they do that outside and, try to force them to play, more split safety coverage, then that's, certainly an element that can be helpful. At the end of the day, we saw a lot of safety down last year as well, so I'm careful to say that we have to do something else all the time. We have to execute what we're doing too, better than what we've done, and so like I said, that we saw a lot of safety down in certain packages last year, and somebody's got to do some tough stuff, when that's the case, because there's bodies near the line of scrimmage. So you can't always just throw it when there's a safety down, and you can't always just run it when there's two safeties back. So kind of all that stuff goes hand in hand, but I think executing whatever the call is when that's the case is important. Force the defense to play some other things, but also be able to grind out some tough yards when they do that.
When it comes to the executing piece, something that Jacobs said he noticed was some chemistry issues, just in terms of
no issues. Just working to create, all of the things that go into being productive in that area, and running the ball is similar to pass protection and how the quarterback manipulates the pocket inside. And, there's some times where the quarterback has to move to help the lineman out based on what's going on with the rush or the blitzes. The running game is very similar to that. There might be a designed point of attack, and whether that's a double team block or whatever it is, and, the runner reading it, the double team being effective, being able to get up on the linebackers, at the right timing. So, we didn't start the game, we didn't start the season last year as productively as we would have wanted either. Doesn't mean we're guaranteed to flip it around quickly either. So it just takes repetitions. I think there's learning, the style of the runner, learning the blockers. There's a couple guys up there that, Greg's a little new to JJ in terms of that whole thing. And so it's not chemistry issues. It's just creating those kind of repetitions and habits through practice over and over again so that we can be productive when we use them in the game. So no shortcut to it, just time and effort.
I'm sure you've been, part of situations where the running game was good to go from the very beginning of the season, but other times where it just hasn't been. Do you feel like, being around football as long as you have now on the NFL level, that maybe that's kind of hard to do right out of the gate, the way things are practiced and the way preseason might be handled?
I mean, the one thing I'd say is we're all under the same, every one of us has the same restrictions. So I would never use that as an excuse at all. There's teams that are running it well right now, and, they had the same limited number of padded practices or whatever it is that we did. So we just I got to do a better job. We got to do a better job as we work towards each week here, putting together the right idea, the right plan, and then just executing it a little bit better. But this is not a one-person problem. This is everybody's got to do their job, do their part, and together we'll all be the solution.
You were just kind of talking about the one game and also with pass protection. When you have a Steelers front seven that likes to send pressure as much as they do on the quarterback, how important is it for your running backs to also be effective in pass protection as well?
Yeah, they're gonna we're gonna get tested for sure. So you got to be physical. These guys are not guys that are going to try to run around you. So, the physicality portion of blitz pickup this week will be on full display. So we worked at it in pads on Wednesday. You're going to need to do that multiple times during the course of this game, and our backs understand that. We know what the challenge is going to be, and I think it starts with your assignment, knowing who you have and making sure we get a body on those guys. The thing about them, they don't. It doesn't matter if you pick up the blitz once, twice, or 15 times. You're still going to get it. You know what I mean? They're going to keep coming, and it's just part of who they are, part of what they do and what they believe in. And so we're going to need to do a good job in our pass protection and our blitz pickup all game.
How difficult is it to get that offense in a rhythm when you really haven't possessed the ball that much this year so far?
Well, there's the chicken and the egg on that one. We got to do some things better to hold it. You know what I mean? And so complimentary football, I wouldn't say, the first game of the season was very strange, as we all talked about that, with the number of possessions we had. And I didn't think we did enough things well last week offensively after the first drive to kind of continue our rhythm, and convert third downs and stay on the field. And, and again, that's you got to play good football, so. Stopping them on defense on third down, creating opportunities. That's how you want to play if you want to play complimentary football. And, we're going to need to do that better as we go here.
Would you like to see some more aggressiveness from your defensive play calling on this Sunday?
It depends. There's a lot of things that go into that. We blitzed a number of times last week, and sometimes we had a chance to get there, and other times they did a good job in pass protection. So I think Pat calls the game the way we set it up, and he does a good job of that and adjusting if we need to. And there's not going to put out the game plan right now, so we'll see how it goes.
We've seen Nate Hobbs back in the slot a lot this year. What have you thought of the way he's played?
Yeah. He's primarily manned that spot for us, obviously, the first few games here, and he's a good player. He's physical, he's fast, he's aggressive. I've kept him out there in some situations where they've been in not in three receiver groupings, so he'll tackle, which I really like, his toughness. A young player who's continuing to improve and get better, healthy. Last year kind of fought a few things there. So just looking to, continue to have him grow and improve, making progress, adds an element of speed and toughness to our defense. I really like.
Terry Tiller is a guy you've been able to move around the defensive line just kind of from interior and also as an end. How beneficial is it to have a versatile guy like him on that line?
Yeah, JT's an unselfish guy, plays a lot of roles, wears a lot of hats, does a lot of dirty work. Sometimes it doesn't get noticed. Has been very durable for us out there all the time, and the guys like that, you don't have 10 of them, so it's really beneficial if you can have one or two guys that can kind of provide depth on the roster on game day, in multiple cases, multiple spots in case you run into some injuries. So, he's a valuable part of our team.
Josh, it's obviously a small sample size, and maybe you didn't even expect him to have to play this much early on, but what have you seen from Tyree thus far?
I still think we're in the phase of kind of working towards where he will ultimately be. When you miss that kind of time, we talked a lot about Jimmy when Jimmy came back. There's an element of just missed repetitions that you just got to work through until you kind of build up enough of those things to start, really just playing without, thinking about what the call is and all that stuff. So I think he's working hard at it, as much as he can. Obviously, the last day or two has been, a little bump in the road, but we'll get back on track here. First game, learned a lot. Second game, definitely some things that were improved. And I think that's really true for all young players. Everything's different, speed of the game, scheme that you're seeing. The players are, they know what they're doing. They're very used to handling certain things that you're trying to do against them. So it's just, for rookies, it takes time to really get acclimated to the National Football League and all the challenges that it presents to you every week. And each week is different. This tackle is different than that one on the same team. Then you go to the next week and it's completely different. The run style, the pass protection, how quick the ball's coming out. There's a lot of things that go into, rookies getting, totally comfortable in the game, and we're playing a lot of them. JB's playing a lot. Tuck played a bunch last week. Michael Mayer, So there's a lot of guys that I would say are going through the same process right now. Byron, of really seeing a lot of stuff. Maybe it's the first time, maybe it's the second time, but it's certainly, this isn't like they're seasoned veterans yet. So you just got to keep pushing forward with a lot of these young players, because their best football, you're probably not seeing it right now. Your best football is going to be in front of us, and you just try to improve every day that we're out there with them.
I think this is your fifth straight year with a new starting quarterback. In your experience, how long does it take to get everyone in sync, or how long should it take to get the quarterback and the coach and the offense in sync?
I don't think there's really a timeline that, I don't have I wish I did, I would have already used it, the magic wand. But I think it's just, repetition, understanding each other, understanding the system, applying it week after week. I firmly believe that nobody's playing their best football right now. I mean, that would be hard to do that. You want to be playing competitively and you want to be playing good football, but I think you're going to play your best football in September. I think there's a long way to go. A lot of repetitions, a lot of things we haven't seen together that we're going to see eventually. And a lot of improvement that will be made. And so I think part of doing that is patience. I've started, a couple of years ago, I think we were 2-4 and at the bottom of the league in a number of categories, and, kind of improved along the way and got better in certain areas. Last year, one of the worst running teams in the league at the beginning of the season, and, JJ ends up winning the rushing, so there's elements that we're just, nobody's there yet, So the thing I love about our team and our group is how hard they work, how much they're putting in, whether it's, a team period or something off to the side or after practice on their own, just trying to get, those things nailed down so that we can make progress every week. So I love that about our team.
Is there a little bit more juice and excitement? It's a season home opener. It's primetime action.
Yes. You can tell that 100%. Plus the opponent, this is, it's a rivalry game for us, for them, and it's a historic matchup for our franchise. I mean, our alumni, anybody that's competed in this game, in this rivalry, it's not a division game, but it matters a significant amount. And it's important, and we're excited to have an opportunity. Don't believe we got an opportunity to do this last year, play a home night game in our stadium, which obviously we feel is, if not the best, one of the very, very finest in the league, and excited to compete, play in that slot, and when you're playing in that spot, you're the only one on, and a lot of people watching you, and I think our players are excited, our coaches are excited, I know our fans are going to be excited, so Sunday night should be electric.
Josh, you mentioned, you started 2-4 one year and probably got that turned around, obviously. How much does that experience kind of help you keep an even keel? They're not going to call it season 2 weeks in or, at the end of September. Mm-hmm. There's a long way to go here.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you got to kind of ignore the immediacy of all the reactions sometimes, because, I've lived it too many times to know that it's like, sometimes when you start really well, it's not a good thing either, because maybe you are playing your, best too early, and then you start to decline a little bit. So, again, we want to play as good as we can play. We want to coach as good as we can coach. But I think having some understanding that the players in the locker room, the coaches, what we're doing, the goal is for it all to get better, and once it's all, 2, 3, 4 months in, now how good is it, and so you got to be careful about overreacting, and try to maintain some kind of a semblance of normalcy regardless of the outcome, win or lose, and not ride that roller coaster going up and down emotionally, and just focus on the things we need to do to get better. So I'm hoping that's a positive for all of us, and you've gone through it a number of times. You kind of know how to handle it a little bit.
You guys good? All right.
Good to go. Thanks, guys.
You've been watching Breaking News from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.